Joining us on the phone tonight is Tom Sarmento. Tom, it's a pleasure to have you here, and we're looking forward to this conversation.
Oh, glad to be out here, Miles.
Excellent. So, Tom, let's jump right into things. First off, the first question I'd like to ask you.
Okay.
Tell us how you got involved in the Dukes of Hazzard production.
Well, to get there, I did have some Chrysler experience, and I started a show at Universal, BJ and the Bear.
I remember that one.
Yeah, well, I worked the first season of BJ and the Bear, or the second season. We laid it off during hiatus, and Warner Brothers picked me up, and they had just started the show, The Dukes of Hazzard. And I guess, fortunately, I got to go on the show because nobody else wanted to take that show, even though they had more seniority. And since I had no seniority, I was told I was going on that show. And that's how I got that show.
Excellent. Talk to us quickly, too, also a little bit about some of the other work you had at Universal and Warner.
Well, BJ and the Bear, Quincy, yeah, and just a few little shows like that. I was just, maintaining mostly, the shop equipment, everything that broke down. The worst job I ever had was putting a transmission in a street cleaner. Even though we still can clean that thing, I mean, that was still a pretty nasty job. But, I went over to Warner Brothers, and, that was going to be my home for 7 years.
Excellent.
Hi, this is Sully, and I watched the Dukes of Hazzard from day one till end, and it turns out after looking at your book a little bit that instead of the Duke boys being my hero, it might have been you. But I heard a rumor that you had gone through so many cars and wrecked so much equipment that you used every single different kind of Mopar engine from the 6 all the way up to the Hemi. And when you used the 6, you could have used it because the sound was dubbed. Is that all true?
Well, most of the cars that we had were 383s and 440s. We never had any of the 6-cylinders. We never had any of the Hemis. We never had any of the 446 pack cars. That is, the 446 pack is the only engine that 69 Charger never had available. But yes, they did dub in all the sound. But and the 318s, when they went out to buy these cars, I told them, distributor in front good, distributor in the front, in the back bad. And but they did buy some. So we usually use those to make short jumps, but we put a 4-barrel on it and a single stage of nitrous.
Okay, a little follow-up question to that.
Mm-hmm.
With using all the different cars, how many of them were 69s and how many of them were changeovers from, 70 or 68s?
Well, we used 68s, but we never used any 1970 cars.
Okay.
Now, how come Chargers were the vehicle selected?
Well, Guy Waldron, he was the creator of Dukes. He actually had envisioned a 69 GTO. And so a guy named Hank Nessel, he was the transportation coordinator. He said, guys, he says, let me bring you a car and see if you like that car. And what he brought him is a 69 Charger, painted Hugger orange, which that GTO was painted, and the rest of the, decals and push bar and everything like that. And they loved it. But to tell you the truth, I'll bet you $1 against $100 that the producers never knew the difference between a Charger and that GTO.
Probably.
And my boss has one of those 69 GTO Judges that was just recently, redone. And so, yes, I bet you're right. So Chad is up and
Hey,
got
Tom.
a question.
So my question is, I kind of wanted to go back for a second. How did you get to be on TV? How did you get your role into being to where you were for working for Universal and Warner? And how did you get there to be actually, where you are now and getting on the TV scene?
Well, that was a long process. After Dukes, the stunt guys, Gary Baxley, he was doing Fall Guy, the last season of Fall Guy, and he called me up. He says, "Tommy," he says, "you want to come to work for us?" And I says, "Yeah, I guess." He says, "No, I want you to be a stuntman." And he says, "We'll get you your Screen Actors Guild card." And I went to work on the show that day, and I did a turnover. It was against the Green Machine, and we did a double turnover with. I did it with Eddie Braun, and that started by how I got my Screen Actors Guild card, and I worked 10 years in the stunt business, took an early retirement, and it just went on and on from there.
Hey, Tom, being in the stunt business, that's got to be quite wear and tear on the body. Any notable injuries throughout the years?
Well, I did go in for an X-ray, and at the chiropractor, he says, "Tom, have you ever seen one of your X-rays of your back and neck?" And I said, "No." He goes, "It's amazing you're walking." But
I know the feeling.
I mean, well, yeah, and with age, and that arthritis will sneak up on you. Yeah, because I'll be 77 this year, but nothing like any broken bones or anything like that. I did fracture my spine in a couple spots, which ended my jumping and turnover career.
So let's talk a little bit to jump back to the General Lee here. Do you have an interesting story for the listener? Maybe something about working on one of those cars on the set that stands out to you to this day?
Well, I don't know. When Hank Nessel picked out that car, that '69 Charger. I mean, he couldn't have picked a better car. It was more probably by accident, but it had the hideaway headlights. It had torsion bar suspension. It had rear leaf springs. It had a powerful motor. It had a fantastic transmission. It had a 8 3/4 rear end, and we never used any posies in those rear ends, and we never had a car with a 4-speed.
Interesting. Now, how many General Lees were destroyed in the production of the show? Do you know offhand?
Approximately 317 is what Warner Brothers purchased.
Wow.
Wow. So my question is for you. So we saw, Miles got to see you. I was looking around the museum at the Petty experience we had last couple weeks ago.
Petty Fest.
So what are some of the ties in with the General Lee and you with NASCAR? How did you Like, is there any good ties or any good stories about the General Lee being a part of NASCAR or you or anything like that?
Well, they used the '69 Chargers, but back in those days, they were using the Hemi motors, and they were using the wing cars, the Superbirds.
Yep.
And that is how and Richard Petty, he was actually a big Chrysler man, but he used Fords, he used Pontiacs. Yeah, I don't know if he ever used a Chevy or not, but he's quite a man. And Miles, did you get to meet Richard?
I didn't get to meet him at Petty Fest, but I've met Richard Petty before, so yes, I do know.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a fantastic man, and I talked to his brother Maurice at one of the Petty shows probably 4 or 5 years ago before he passed away, and I got a chance to talk to him, probably for a half hour. I found him, and nobody was, heckling him for, autographs or pictures and stuff like that. So I actually got to sit down and talk to him for a bit. And one question I did ask him, I says, who had more '69 Chargers? The 317 that we used on the show, or you guys at Richard Petty? And he goes, "Kid, you wouldn't believe what is buried out there on that farm."
Oh, wow.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about the book. I have a copy right in my hand right now. The Man Behind the General.
And thank you for getting that book for you and Larry.
Yeah. Gary has his copy on his desk, and that's all he talked about today. So he was very excited about that.
That's great.
So tell us a little bit about the book.
Well, you can purchase the book from me. A signed copy by it's $35 and it's $5 for postage, and you can purchase that book at Hazzard County at Carolina.rr.com, and that will take you to my fan page. And then Phyllis Hinkle, she monitors that page. She'll lead them through everything. They can pay for it on PayPal. I don't recommend you send cash in the mail. So
yeah, cash isn't good in the mail.
No, and but I don't take credit cards. But so the best way to do it is probably PayPal. If I know you, I would probably take a check from you. But because I try to do a turnaround time as quick as I possibly can.
And I can attest he does a great job at the turnaround time. That is for sure.
Yes, and I've got the books. I got the books in stock. I still probably have about 150 books here, so I've got plenty. I'm not going to run out, and I can order more if I do.
Cool. So now I did, in talking with you, you tend to travel around, going to many of these car shows, selling your book. Normally you got the General Lee with you there for show. I do understand you're going to be coming to Massachusetts this summer. Tell us where we can find you up here.
Well, it's probably going to be in September. It's going to be around a town called Ware, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
And that is going to be okay. Well, Todd Russo, he's got a very nice General Lee. I'll be going up there a week, going up there for about 10 days. And when I first get there, I've got to change out on his car, change the intake manifold. He's got a 78 motor that's been redone, a 440. But what they left on was the cast iron 440 manifold for 1978. And that is just full of all that EGR equipment, you know. And we got, you know, I took that carburetor off and I looked there, and it was just all black and, you know, fuel. And I says, Todd, we got to get this manifold off here. And so what I did find them is an original 69 intake manifold. You know, it's a dual plane. So we're going to put that on first, make sure that car fires up. Hopefully he's going to put spark plugs in that because he's got headers on that thing. And anybody knows you just can't change those spark plugs real quick with those headers, you know. So I gave him a few ideas on how to get those things out. So I think I'll be on my back underneath that car trying to get those spark plugs loose. They've been in there for about 5 years.
Wow.
This is Sully again over here, and every red-blooded male that's listening to us right now, having worked on the Dukes of Hazzard for as long as you did, tell us something about Daisy. We all got to know about Daisy Duke. Have you had any interactions? Is there a story? Is there anything that you can tell us?
Well, you know, Catherine, you know, she's a fantastic person. She's a very people person, and you know, I didn't work with her very often, but she did. The first unit. See, there was 2 units. The first unit, which had the actors and sound, and then there was the second unit. That's where I worked on. That's where we did all the cars, the jumps, and everything else. But sometimes they would have to come out because they were shooting at the farmhouse, the exterior of the farmhouse, or the boar's nest, or, you know, some of the roads. So that's where I got to meet Catherine, and you know, she's just a fantastic person. I mean, she's you know, she's you know, she was
things that made of dreams.
Yes, you know, and you know, I've known her and her husbands and her 2 daughters, and you know, it's you know, she has a great family, and you know, when she got married, you know, she wanted to have kids, and they said that she couldn't have any, so she went you know, for some help, and you know, later on in her life, she had two daughters, you know, about 2 years apart. Matter of fact, her daughter, her youngest daughter, Laura, is 1 day older than my granddaughter. And I remember seeing Kathy up in Sperryville in 2002, and she saw me and my daughter, and, you know, she come running up, and she goes, "Oh, Tommy, you know," and she goes, "Oh, and Jenny's here." She goes, "You know, I've got a daughter, you know, that's just a year difference." And I says, "Yeah, the only difference is, Catherine," I says, "that's your daughter. That's my granddaughter that we're talking about, you know." And but
that's classic.
You know, Kathy, you know, is a fantastic person. My daughter used to, when she was there, Kathy would have her makeup and hair and makeup trailer, and after they went to work, you know, she said, "Jenny, go in there and get your hair done, get your nails done, you know, polished and everything." So she was really good. And my son, yeah, you know, girls and stuff, he was more interested in the cars.
Cool.
Just wanted to say to you, Tom, we got a couple of people on the live stream here, and they all wanted to just say how much they appreciate you and how much they appreciate the General Lee for making their childhood iconic and amazing. And they all pretended that they were driving a General Lee at one point. So I just wanted to let you know that a lot of people do appreciate you and that are watching.
Well, like they say, Keep it between the ditches.
There you go. So, as we wrap up here, up against a break, first off, Tom, I will say we're probably going to try to make it a point to see you when you come up here in Massachusetts
Absolutely.
in September.
Yeah, we will be there.
Yeah, we'll be there.
And we are going to plug the book. Of course, the book is The Man Behind the General. We're going to put the post out where you can get it, your website. We're going to give you a good plug on our Facebook page tonight. The Man Behind the General, stories by Tom Sarmento, written by Marty Turner. And, of course, Tom is originally from Providence, Rhode Island, and a Marine veteran. And so I would be remiss if I didn't say welcome home, Tom. And thank you for everything that you've done. And we look forward to talking to you down the road here again soon.
Anytime, guys. Just give me a shout, and I can do it for you.
Excellent.
That's awesome.
All right, Tom Sarmento, the man behind the General, joining us here tonight on Miles on Motorsports, featuring the boys of NASCAR, Massachusetts on 95.9 WATD.